Hello everyone, we're on our next day of notes, which is section 9.2. What we're going to be doing today is we're adding and subtracting rational expressions. Now let's continue our theme with a rational expression kind of being another name for a complicated fraction. Let's simplify it for a little bit. When we added fractions in elementary school, such as 7/12 plus 3/8, we hated it because our math teachers wouldn't let us use our calculators. But when we added fractions, we had to get common denominators. So our common denominator was, what number does both 12 and 8 go into? It's called the least common multiple. What is the lowest number that both 12 and 8 go into? It's 24. So now we had to write an equivalent fraction. If we multiplied this by 2, 12 times 2 is 24, we had better multiply 7 times 2. So then we would get 14. In the same way, we asked ourselves, what number do we multiply 8 by to get to 24? Well, we multiplied it by 3. So what do we have to multiply this 3 by? We have to multiply it by 3 to make an equivalent fraction. So 3 times 3 is 9. Now we were taught that whenever we have common denominators, we can add them. So we have our common denominator at 24, and we simply add the numerators to get 23. So our answer is 23/24. Over the years, we've just used our calculator to do that very, very quickly, and that's just fine. However, now our calculator isn't going to do us quite as much good because we have a lot of letters that are involved as well. So we want to add up 7x plus 50 over 15y squared plus y over 18xy. So remember, class, we're not multiplying, we're just going to do a bunch of reducing right away. We are now adding, so we have to get common denominators. The common denominators, here's how you find it. So obviously you're only looking at the denominator. Now you're looking at the numbers. This is what you're going to do, same thing you did back in elementary school. 15 and 18, you have to find the least common multiple. So what number do both 15 and 18 go into? You can definitely use this with mental math, but if you want to use your calculator, you can do that. And it says in your notes how you do that. Go to your calculator. What you're going to do is you're going to press Math. You're going to scroll over one to num, N-U-M, stands for number. And then you're going to scroll down, or you can just press number 8. Number 8 is that LCM, which stands for least common multiple. Enter. We want to find the least common multiple of 15 and 18. So type in 15, comma, 18, and our calculator spits it out to us. The least common multiple is the number 90. So we know that 90 is the least common multiple between 15 and 18. Now, as far as letters are concerned, whenever you're trying to find the least common multiple with variables, they're always going to be the same as the highest one or bigger. So like this one doesn't have any x's at all, and this one has x to the first, so your least common multiple is going to be x to the first. This one has y squared, this one has y to the first, so it's always going to be the bigger one, it's going to be y squared. So our common denominator is 90x y squared. 90x y squared. So we're going to rewrite this. Here was what our original problem was, right here. We're going to rewrite this so that we have two fractions with 90y squared in the bottom. So why don't you guys write that down. Now, the same rationale that we used in elementary school, we're going to use now. What did you multiply to get from here to here? Well, to get from 15 to 90, you had to multiply by the number 7. To get from no x's to 1x, you had to multiply by x to the first. And to go from y squared to y squared, you didn't multiply by anything there, so you had to multiply both top and bottom by 6x. I might have said 7 at first. I apologize for that. 6x. So if you multiply the bottom by 6x, you certainly better multiply the top by 6x. So now we have 42x squared. In the same way, what did you have to multiply this by to get down to here? Well, you had to multiply it by 5y. If you multiply the bottom by 5y, you certainly have to multiply the top by 5y. In that way, getting 5y squared. So our answer, not our answer, sorry, our next step is getting that 42x squared plus the 5y squared. Now class, we're going to have one common denominator, 90xy squared, and we're actually going to add the numerators. Once you get common denominators, you can just add the numerators. So you get 42x squared plus 5y squared. A lot of the time at this step, you're now going to combine like terms if you can. However, on this one, there's no like terms that can be combined in the numerator, nor is there any canceling that you can do with anything in the denominator. So we are done. This is our answer. Why don't you guys try number 2 on your own? After you tried number 2, hopefully you got the common denominator as being 42. That's what 6 and 14, the lowest number that both of them go into. A squared, b squared. So that's what you're going to have for both the left fraction and the right fraction. 42 a squared b squared. Remember, the least common multiple for the numbers is going to be your common denominator, and then it's always going to be with the letters the highest number. So a squared and no a's, a squared is certainly higher, thus getting the a squareds here. B squared and b, obviously b squared is higher, so that's how we get that one. Now, what did you have to multiply this by to get down to here? You had to multiply it by 7, a to the second, and b to the first. So if you do that to the bottom, you have to do that to the top. So we get 35 a to the fourth b plus, what did we multiply this by to get down to here? We had to multiply it by just the number 3. So if we multiply the bottom by 3, we got to multiply the top by 3. And we get 27. So our answer is 35 a to the fourth b plus 27. That number divided by 42 a squared b squared. And there is our answer. A lot of people want to somehow reduce like the 35 and 42 because 7 goes into both of those. However, you can't do that because 7 doesn't go into here. So unless you can reduce all 3 of those factors, you can't reduce any of them. So that's a little bit on how you add fractions when it's just a monomial in the denominator.